In the year 2147, Earth was no longer a cradle of peace. It had become a scarred battleground, its skies choked with ash and fire as humanity fought for survival against an alien force known only as the Harrow. These invaders came without warning or mercy, their sleek black ships blotting out the sun and raining destruction upon cities that once stood proud. The Harrow's motives were unknown. They communicated through eerie silence, their actions speaking louder than any words ever could. Among those who bore witness to this devastation was Captain Elias Voss, leader of the United Earth Defense Corps' elite squadron, Dagger Wing. A man hardened by loss but driven by hope, Elias carried scars, both physical and emotional, from years spent fighting back against overwhelming odds. His team consisted of pilots handpicked, not just for skill but resilience, a rare commodity in these dark times. Dagger Wing operated out of Fort Haven, one of the last bastions of human resistance nestled deep within the Arctic Circle. From here, they launched desperate sorties into enemy territory, striking at supply lines and communication hubs while trying to avoid direct confrontation with the superior numbers of the Harrow fleet. But despite their best efforts, each victory felt hollow amidst mounting casualties and dwindling resources. One fateful morning, however, everything changed. Intelligence operatives intercepted fragments of data suggesting something extraordinary, a massive gathering point for the Harrow forces near Saturn's rings. Dubbed Erebus Nexus by analysts, it seemed to be more than just another staging ground. It appeared central to their entire operation. If Dagger Wing could strike there effectively, it might cripple the Harrow enough to turn the tide of war. Elias called his crew together in the briefing room. Holographic projections flickered above the table, displaying maps and schematics detailing Erebus Nexus. Each face around him reflected determination tinged with fear. Everyone understood what was at stake. "We've been pushed too far," Elias began, his voice steady yet laced with urgency. "This is our chance, not just to fight back, but to end this nightmare. We go all in on this mission. No retreat, no surrender." Nods followed, grim resolve settling over the group like armor. Among them sat Mira Hayes, Dagger Wing's tech specialist, whose brilliance often bordered on genius. Beside her, Flynn Archer leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table tightly. As the youngest member of the squad, he still harbored youthful optimism, even after witnessing horrors most would never recover from. Their plan involved splitting into two teams. One would infiltrate Erebus Nexus directly using cloaked shuttles designed by Mira herself, planting explosives deep within its core structure. Meanwhile, the second team, including Elias, would draw away enemy reinforcements, engaging in brutal dogfights among Saturn's icy debris fields to buy time for the infiltration team to succeed. Launch date arrived under cover of darkness. Engines roared to life across Fort Haven's hangar bay, echoing off metal walls as Dagger Wing prepared for departure. Every pilot knew this might be their final flight, yet none hesitated. They climbed aboard their fighters, buckling in as countdown timers ticked down mercilessly toward zero. As the first rays of sunlight pierced the horizon, illuminating streaks of frost clinging to cockpit windows, Dagger Wings surged skyward. Within minutes, they transitioned into hyperspace, leaving behind the fragile safety of Earth for the cold vastness of space beyond. Arriving near Saturn hours later, tension crackled through comms channels as the operation commenced. Cloaked shuttles detached silently from the main formation, slipping past initial defenses undetected thanks to Mira's ingenuity. Inside one shuttle, Flynn exchanged nervous glances with fellow infiltrators, clutching his rifle tightly as artificial gravity hummed beneath his boots. Meanwhile, Elias led the diversionary assault head-on. Enemy vessels swarmed like insects disturbed from their nest, spewing plasma bolts that lit up the void around them. Explosions blossomed brilliantly against the backdrop of Saturn's majestic rings, painting the battlefield with flashes of orange and blue. "Stay sharp," Elias barked over comms, weaving his fighter through a hailstorm of enemy fire. "Keep 'em busy." Back aboard the infiltration team's shuttle, alarms blared suddenly. Somehow, the Harrow had detected their presence. Panic surged briefly before being quelled by discipline instilled through countless drills. With seconds ticking away until discovery became unavoidable, Flynn activated manual override systems, guiding the craft manually toward their objective. Inside Erebus Nexus, chaos erupted as Daggerwing breached internal defenses. Corridors filled with eerie red light cast long shadows along walls lined with alien technology incomprehensible to human eyes. Clashes echoed throughout the station as infiltrators engaged enemy drones and automated turrets, pushing deeper toward the heart of the complex. Flynn found himself cornered momentarily, pinned down by relentless gunfire. Just when despair threatened to overwhelm him, a familiar voice crackled through his helmet speakers. "Hold tight, kid, I'm coming." It was Mira, sprinting into view with weapon raised, laying down suppressive fire that allowed Flynn to break free. Together, they reached the central chamber housing Erebus Nexus power core, a pulsating sphere of energy encased within crystalline structures unlike anything seen before. Setting charges meticulously, Mira worked quickly while Flynn kept watch, adrenaline coursing through veins stretched taut as bowstrings. Outside, Elias continued leading his squadron in increasingly desperate maneuvers. Shields flickered dangerously low on several fighters, forcing some pilots to eject prematurely. Still, they held firm, knowing every second bought meant increased chances of success inside the Nexus. Finally, Mira signaled completion. "Charges set. Get us out of here," she shouted, grabbing Flynn's arm and hauling him toward extraction coordinates. Behind them, explosions rippled outward from the core, cascading failures beginning to tear apart Erebus Nexus piece by piece. Elias received confirmation moments later. "All units, fall back now," he ordered, spinning his fighter sharply to evade pursuing enemies. One by one, surviving Daggerwing members regrouped, racing toward rendezvous points where waiting shuttles awaited pickup. As the last shuttle lifted off carrying Mira, Flynn, and remaining infiltrators, Erebus Nexus imploded spectacularly. Shockwaves rippled outward, consuming nearby Harrow ships caught in the blast radius. Debris spiraled wildly, colliding with anything unlucky enough to remain close. And then, silence. For the first time since the Harrow invasion began, the battlefield truly fell silent, exhausted but victorious. Daggerwing limped homeward, battered fighters trailing smoke against starlit skies. News of their triumph spread rapidly across what remained of Earth's communications networks, igniting sparks of hope amid widespread despair. Though battered and bruised, humanity refused to yield. Above frozen landscapes surrounding Fort Haven, auroras danced vibrantly, nature's own tribute to courage displayed by those willing to stand against impossible odds. In that moment, amidst ruins of war-torn worlds, humanity's fury shone brightest, lighting paths forward toward uncertain futures filled with promise rather than defeat. Captain Elias Voss gazed outwards from command center windows, watching northern lights shimmer softly overhead. Though weary, pride swelled within his chest, not merely for victories achieved today, but for enduring spirit-defining species standing united despite adversity faced daily. Humanity endured because it chose to fight, not out of hatred or vengeance, but love profound enough to transcend boundaries imposed by stars themselves.